told you, you're mine, you jerk. Let's go.
So up first, I went with the Spike Cestus, and I actually put the flame art on it. I also wanted to use the Spike Cestus just to have that extra bleed, just because, hey, why not, right? Now the skill is probably the most important, Flame of the Red Mains. This thing is so strong. I could not believe its stance breaking potential. Yeah, as you can see, it only takes 1 or 2 hits, even with big enemies, to just stance break them, and then you get a front stab off. And you can just keep repeating this. For the seal, I went with the Giant Seal. That's going to boost your Giant's Flame incantations. That'll boost up most of the incantations that you're using, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good, I'd say. For the armor, I tried to find something that was a little bit close, just kind of would be more in the style of Natsu, a little bit older maybe, if he was more rugged. So I went with the Champion's Pauldrons, the Godskin Apostle Bracelets, and the Elden Lord Greaves. It kind of felt a bit more of his style if he decided to live in the woods and train for a few years. Now onto the talismans. Godfrey Icon was really good, enhances charge spells and skills. A good amount of these are actually charged up, so boosting up that damage is pretty significant. You want to pop on that Marika Source Seal, greatly raising your attributes. That's going to give you some more mind, intelligence, faith, arcane. A few stats that we're going to need. It's greatly beneficial. Fire Scorpion Charm, this is a must. Raises that fire attack, of course. Can't knock it. You can grab the Fire Scorpion Charm over here at Mount Lade. Putting on the Moon of Nocstella. Now you can change this out if you really want, if you just want to put the absolute best fire incantations on and that's it, instead of having some smaller ones on. But the Moon of Nocstella will give you 2 more memory slots, and that'll just give you more variability. You can also put on Shard of Alexander, and that'll greatly boost the attack damage of that Flame of the Red Mane, especially if you're going to use it a ton. Now onto the Flask of Wondrous Physique. The Flame Shard and Crack tier is obviously the must. It's temporarily going to boost that fire attack damage, just give you more damage, why not? It's all you're doing is fire, fire, fire. Onto the second one, you can actually change this one out if you really want to. You can add more Faith into your build, and that way you can take out the Faith Not Crystal tier. But if you need that 10 extra Faith, might as well put it in. You could also go with the Cerulean Crystal tier, and that'll just make sure you're not using FP for 15 seconds and you just keep spamming it off like it's nonsense. You could also put in that Stance Breaking Crystal tier and just make Flame of the Red Mains just that much more powerful. With the Great Rune, you could pretty much just put whatever you want on. Godric's Great Rune is just good because you get all those stats. That's pretty much the best one out of all of them in my honest opinion.
I told you, you're mine, you jerk. Let's go.
Now, let's get into the incantations. So, O Flame is pretty good if you got some stuff up close to you. Doesn't do a whole bunch of damage, and you have to be pretty close in order for it to actually do anything. Now, if you'd like, you can engulf yourself in flame in the surrounding area and just have flame around you as well, I guess, if you want, with the Fire's Deadly Flame incantation. Using Flame Grant Me Strength will take off the fire that's on you, and that way you won't tick down on damage. Now, this is a pretty cool incantation, Burn, O Flame. You'll get this from the Remembrance of the Fire Giant, and you're just creating giant pillars of fire. This is pretty much the one you're really going to want to use, the Giant's Flame Take Thee. This will be a really big ball. You can charge it up. This will do a ton of damage, and it'll pretty much nuke a ton of enemies. Here we got Flame Fall Upon Them. You're just chucking a bunch of fireballs out. You can charge this one up as well. But to be honest, just doing the regular is fine, because for some reason the charged ability doesn't like to hit as many enemies. I don't know why. Now you definitely want that Flame Grant Me Strength. I would usually say this for any melee build anyways, because it's increasing your physical attack power, but it also increases your fire affinity attack power. So all your damage from all your fire spells, all your fire skills are just going to be increased. It's real good. Only lasts 30 seconds though, so make sure that you keep it up. But you can usually tell because you got some red flames around you. Now, you could put Flame Protect Me on. That's pretty much just for an aesthetic purpose. Natsu. Surge of Flame is actually really good against smaller enemies. You can just kind of burst them out really quick. It's not too bad, and you can kind of stun lock some mid-level enemies pretty easily. Now, Flame of the Fell God is super good. You're going to basically start out with this once you're done with your setup. And then you're just going to do Flame of the Red Mains, and you'll get a stance break. They'll explode with a bunch of damage. Then you'll also get a riposte off, and it's just a ton of damage right away, and you can pretty much just rinse and repeat after that. Don't use Whirl of Flame. It's an awful ability. I didn't like it at all. Maybe you can use it, but I had a terrible time with it. I also put on Dragonfire and Agil's Flame, just for the aesthetic, just to have some Dragon Breath going on. Agil's Flame is just the better version of it, and I would say just use that one if you're gonna go for it, really. So at that point, you can pretty much replace the Dragonfire if you'd like, and you can put on Bloodflame Talons. That's also a really good incantation. Now, like I said, Bloodflame Talons was actually really fun, but it's pretty melee based, so be careful with it. It's actually pretty beneficial to have Flame Cleanse Me in your build. This is going to get rid of any poison or rot that you end up getting throughout the game. I found it pretty beneficial even on the Guts build.
I told you, you're mine, you jerk. Let's go.
So for the stats, I pretty much just put Vigor up to 60. That'll just give me that 1900 health, and I just got a good amount of it just to play around with and just have fun. Mind, I put up to 45. That put me up to 250 FP, and along with Marika's Source Seal, that'll get increased a little bit more. And it's really fun to have just a ton of FP, and you can just spam out all these fire incantations and skills like they're nothing. Endurance, I put up to 19 just to have a bit more stamina. I just had some extra points left over, and I'm just like, you know what, I'll just put it into Endurance, have a little bit more equip load, and have some more stamina. Why not? Strength, Dexterity, Intelligence, and Arcane, I didn't touch at all. Those are base default for Wretched. So because I did the Flame Art Affinity, it's going to be scaling off Faith entirely, so we just pumped a bunch of Faith. So 65 is what I needed. If you can pump that up to 75 if you like, if you're not going to use the Faith Not Crystal tier. Otherwise, the Marika's Source Seal is going to give you a 5, and then you'll just be capped out. And having that Faith up there is good. And if you'd like, you can also just put in a little bit of Dexterity. Once you're higher levels, just start pumping other stats. Give yourself some more Mind, Endurance, and Dexterity.
I told you, you're mine, you jerk. Let's go.
So basically, if you're going to go into a boss fight or a really tough enemy, pop that flask and then put Flame Grant Me Strength on. That'll increase your attack power with your fire damage pretty significantly. And basically, if you have time right away, do Flame of the Fell God and have that going out, and then just get ready to use Flame of the Red Mains, because that ability is just going to stance break them to an insane degree. And you're just going to try to rinse and repeat that as much as possible and dodge incoming attacks. Flame of the Red Mains is going to be your star ability. I would say if you've actually got a bunch of enemies around you, you can start using some of the other incantations. Agil's Flame will pretty much just nuke out anything in a wide area. Flame Fall Upon Them can also work out really well, and Giant's Flame Take Thee is just pretty beneficial if you have 2 or 3 enemies just coming at you pretty hard. But really, if you're going to have a bunch of small enemies coming at you, that Surge O Flame, pretty good. So while you're exploring, I mean, Flame of the Red Mains is going to be doing a main portion of the damage, but it's got a good amount of variability, and you can pretty much use a lot of these incantations for a lot of different scenarios. Basically, the biggest tip that I can give you for this is just do Flame of the Red Mains. It's really, really strong in its stance break. It kind of broke the game a bit. Well, I hope you like this Nats build. I actually had a lot of fun, and I didn't think I'd break the game by doing it either. So, hey, if you want to see any other builds, let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to make them work. Also, maybe leave a like.